buying cars.
Yeah, so I was thinking we could talk about some of these like buying car horror stories.
Yeah, I only have a couple, like one for myself. That's, I mean, it's really nothing too crazy. I have one with another buddy of mine that it's a pretty good story. But
Well, they don't all have to be ours. What happened to your buddy?
yeah, right. Yeah, for sure. He, so we went up to, I think it was like Tomahawk or Ryan. It was like an hour and a half or hour 45 away. And it was like a Volkswagen or an Audi, like an late 80s, early 90s. It was just a real shit box, right? But we get there and he's like, yeah, we're just gonna drive it home. And we get going and there's like literally no brakes at all. And there's like just a faint amount of what was left of the e-brake. And it was an hour and a half, hour 45 minute. I think it was a diesel too, so it was just smoking like crazy. I have faint memories of it, but it was just I'm just glad he was driving because it was not safe at all. Do not recommend.
I've lost brakes on quite a few cars, so I kind of get the feeling.
Yeah, I mean, you can navigate it without traffic, but with traffic, oof, that's a pretty hard thing to do.
Was it a manual at least?
Yeah, it was a manual, so I mean, you could at least grab a gear and slow down quite a bit, but it wasn't stopping.
Yeah, that's not good. I actually, speaking of losing brakes, in my Tundra just over a year ago, I was working about a half an hour from home, and I was driving down the highway in the morning, 70 miles an hour, and we started getting to like a not school zone, but where the buses were picking kids up, and the bus was pulling over, so everybody, of course, like locks up their brakes in front of me because they see the lights come on in the bus, and
Right.
so there's like
Sure.
three cars ahead of me. They all just slam their brakes. The bus lights come on in the other lane. I go to hit the brakes in the Tundra, and foot goes to the floor. I blow a rubber brake
Oh,
line on the
balls.
front end, and I had to, because I'm like in a 4,600 pound truck. I had to quick weave out into the lane because there was like telephone pole on the right side in the ditch. So I had to weave into the middle of the road and then like squeeze between the bus and the cars. And then I went around the front car and kind of like just put it into the ditch and pulled over. And there was just brake fluid everywhere in my wheel well. My wheel was soaked. I blew a rubber line. I was only like 2 miles
Meanwhile,
from work at.
meanwhile, everybody's like, "What a dick! Driving like a dick."
Well, I made sure to pull over and like have my flashers on and wait for everybody to go by, so it was like obviously I was fixing something, and then or there was a
Sure.
problem. And then after everybody passed and I felt shameful, and then all the kids at the other bus stop were still staring at me, I just limped it to work like the 2 miles and just drove real slow. But the Tundra's an automatic, so of course I'm like driving the column shift three, two, one, and then just like trying to only use
Over
rear
again.
brakes to park it. Yeah,
Right.
driving through a dealership parking lot to get to the body shop, and you're like trying not to hit any expensive new cars.
Right.
But borrowed
I
my
did. We
manager's
did buy. Oh,
I
sorry.
borrowed my
Go ahead.
manager's Coven and or Cummins, went and got a brake line, changed it, and bled it on lunch, and then I was good to drive home.
Oh, nice. Roadside, roadside stuff. That's always fun, right?
Oh yeah.
I We bought a '38 two-door sedan. Me and my wife did. It was just going to be a personal project, like I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago or something like that. And I was all excited about it. We went to go pick it up, and it wasn't like a super nice car. It was just something that we could. I wanted to turn it into a coupe and chop it and stuff. And so we go to pick it up, and the guy that we bought it from, he's got this homemade like crane on the back of his pickup, and it's like it's janky, right? He basically lifted the whole because the wheels wouldn't turn into. Oh, they used to turn, that old story. So yeah, rear end's completely locked up. So he's like basically lifting the entire car up onto this trailer. It was very very sketchy. And then the roads on the way home where there were no shoulders at all. It was dark, deer everywhere. So can only go like 40 miles an hour tops on the way home, and it was like a 2-hour drive on a good day. So it was I think we got home at like midnight or something. You know how those rides go.
Oh yeah, yeah. We've had plenty of those. Uh, I went when I was a teenager, still in high school. A friend of mine saw this pair of Jeep Cherokees, like the early '90s XJs, like '89, '90, and
Sure. Yeah,
stopped
yeah.
at stopped at the lady's house, knocked on the door because they just had for sale on them. They didn't say any information. We're like, hopefully they're cheap. So she sold us
Right.
two XJs, both running and driving, for $1,000 because this was like 2006, 2007, and so my buddy paid 600 for the nice one. I paid 400 for the less nice one. And on the drive home, we how did we do that? I think we since we had to drive there in a vehicle, we took his vehicle home, and then we went back and got the second Jeep for me. And on the drive home,
Sure.
I'm doing 45 miles an hour on a county road, and right as I cross a bridge, all of a sudden, bang! I go down. The wheel hops up in the air, the front wheel, and it just passes me going down the highway. And then I lock up the brakes as hard as I can, and I ground the rotor for about like 50 yards down the road, and then pulled off onto the shoulder on three wheels, and then we couldn't find the wheel. It had rolled like almost a mile. It went over a railroad track. It went through like three people's yards, and then it hit a tree right before it went in the Wisconsin River. Guy saw us on the side of the road, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, we lost the wheel. I can't find it." And I was trying to figure out how to jack the vehicle up and all that. And so he got on a four wheeler and rode around. He goes, "I found it about like 20 yards from going into the river. It was leaning on a tree." But I,
Gosh.
I think thankfully our chase vehicle had a floor jack in it, or we had to call somebody or whatever. But and then we went around, and there wasn't any tight lug nuts on the whole Jeep. So I've
Oh my God.
I called the lady, and she goes, "Oh,
We,
you know what? My son did change the wheels on it a while ago." I mean, so of course I tortured everybody that rode in my car. Every time we drive past that spot, I would go, "Hey, my wheel fell off here." And then I'd point out
oh yeah.
the
Yeah.
grind line and the thing. And so it got to the point where it was like a regular joke. Like anybody that was riding with me, they'd be like, "Hey, did your wheel fall off here?"
Oh, that's so funny. That's like old people stories driving down the road, and you get the same story every time, but you're like not old.
I don't know. I feel old. I had another one of those stories where you tell somebody every time you go by there. It was we were out in one of my I think it was my first 240 SX, and my friends and I we used to go out on Friday night, and there'd be like all the street racers in town meeting up and driving around stoplight to stoplight, cruising Grand Ave as we used to call it. And I pulled up, I pulled up in my primer 240 SX, and this uh, catfish style fourth gen Camaro pulls up next to me, and he's revving it up and revving it up. The light goes green. We both floor it, and right as after we floor it, in the oncoming lane on the other side of the split road, cop lights go on. He saw us both tear out of the stoplight, and this Camaro's like loud as can be. So we go tearing off. I see the lights because my passenger spotted it. Because I was like, trying to go forward and not hit anybody. My passenger spots it. He goes, "There's a cop." So I quick dive off the road while the Camaro thinks we're still racing, and I go like a block back. I take a left. I take a right on the next one, and I just ended up stuffing it at the end of a dead end road and like parking in between the cars and shutting all the lights off. And we all reclined our chairs and laid back. And then the cop, we see him, the lights go cruising because it's dark enough you could see him kind of above the houses and whatever. We see the lights go cruising. He chases the Camaro down, and we waited like a good 10, 15 minutes, and then pulled out and drove real quiet and real slow and drove home. And then on the way home, we see the cop had a couple of motorcycles pulled over. He must have not caught the Camaro, but was ticked off enough that he pulled somebody over. He had like two motorcycles pulled over on the side of the highway. So after that, anytime we drove through that intersection, I'm like, "Hey, I ran from the cops here."
Nice. Oh, yeah, I don't have any other like buying car stories. I do have other stories of being like stuck on the side of the road for sure. Like that truck I had air ride on, we At one point, I redid something with the air ride, and I ended up the brackets I welded onto the frame for the air tank broke, or I can't remember how. Something broke, or it broke off the air tank. Somehow the air tank fell. I don't remember how it all happened or whatever, but it ended up grinding off the petcock on the bottom, and I was like totally out of air on the side of the road, laid out, and this was body drop, so it was laying rocker on the side of the road. That was a really good time. People had to go back to Fleet Farm, which was like hour or not, no, it was probably 30 minutes away, just to get some fittings. And like, luckily I didn't have the bed enclosed, because if the bed was enclosed, I have no idea how I would have gotten it together. Like, I have no idea. It'd still be sitting there, maybe. I don't know.
It lives there now.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know how many side of the roads. I mean, I had like yesterday we saw a guy pushing a motorcycle, so we quick pulled over, or, we looped around to see if he needed anything. My wife goes, "Do you want to see if he needs a hand?" I was like, "Well, maybe he's out of gas or something. It looks like a pretty nice bike." But I said, "Yeah," because there's been times when I was in Wyoming, pulled onto the highway on my KZ 1000 cafe racer, and it dies, and I had to push my motorcycle 5 miles down the side of the highway because there's nothing in Wyoming. There's nobody that's gonna stop, and then I had to push it to the next exit, and it was 5 miles was the closest one, so I had to push it all the way down, and it's a 1979 Kawasaki 1000. It's a heavy bike, so it took me like
Right.
it took a good chunk out of my afternoon just pushing it, and then I get to this gas station. I call some friends off the gas station phone, and then they come out there, and of course, when they get out there, right before we load it onto their truck, I go to start the bike, it fires right up. Ended up finding out the the gas tank vent wasn't working, and so it was like vacuum sealing. I'd get running for a while, and it like vapor lock. So to fix that, I took a screwdriver and I took the cap off, and then I took a Phillips screwdriver and I hit it with a mallet really hard and popped a hole right on the covered part of the top of the gas tank, and that made my vent. But yeah, this guy we saw pushing the bike, we're like, "You need a hand?" He's like, "No, no, no, I'm all good." And I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Yeah, my bike's just so loud, I push it away from the apartments before starting it up."
That's so weird.
I would just think the neighbors got to get used to it, but whatever. Just trying to be polite.
Yeah, right. Oh man, that'd be rough. Having to push your bike away from the house. That'd be really rough.
Bikes getting pushed, hard times and circumstances. So, I feel like I vaguely remember a car before your the style line that you got now. What did you have before that one?
Oh, I had a white roadster thing. It started as a 39 Chevy pickup, and some dude like cut the roof off of it and made it a roadster. I had a 52 Olds that I traded for that thing. I don't know why I ended up doing that. That was a running driving car, probably. That's why it was. And then it was really ugly. The Roadster was ugly as hell. So I did a bunch of stuff to change that up. I brought that home in the rain. That sucked. It was a Roadster. But that was it was kind of rat roddy. Not a rat rod, but it was rat roddy kind of. I don't know. It was, looking back, it was like, ugh, kind of cringy, but whatever. It's just what I had at the time. It was fun. Riding around in a roadster around town is pretty fun, but it's a fair weather car. So then I'm
Yeah, you'll have
trading
that.
it straight up for this thing, which was not running my 46. So uh, it was a good trade, but it was still trading a running driving car for a non-running car. That's cooler, is not recommended for the automotive enthusiast.
Oh, so you actually traded for the one you have now?
Yeah, yep. Hmm.
Hmm.
But I put everything in. I mean, there's no wiring that's original. Everything. I pretty much emptied the whole car out.
You said that you were working at that last body shop before you started your shop to get a drivetrain for this car, what do you have in there for a drive, or what did you pick up for a drivetrain?
It's just a 350. I bought a 350 from a buddy of mine, for a couple $100. It was, like a 90s van motor. There really wasn't anything too special about it. But I got some Vortec heads and it's got a carburetor in it, 4-barrel carburetor intake, with a Holly on it. And then it's got a 700R4, overdrive transmission. So it's got Mustang 2 front suspension, with just coils, and I want to bag the front, but the back has got air ride with a 4-link. Eventually I want to air ride the whole thing, but I want to do an engine driven compressor instead of doing like the electric pumps that sound like crap, and I don't know, they make a bunch of noise and they cause a lot of, I mean, the engine driven compressors are just like better, faster. You can't hear
Yeah, I
them,
could see that.
you know,
I could see
but,
that.
yeah, I just gotta plot out some time now to get some of that stuff welded together on it, because it was just, now I'm making the best out of the bad chop that last guy started, and I kind of halfway finished so I can make it a driver, and now I'm trying to make the sheet metal on the roof right. And while I'm doing this, while I'm doing this, you might as well cut this up, and while I'm doing this, you might as well cut that up, and then it snowballs, and now you have a running driving car that the sheet metal's all cut up. It's like, I don't know if this is a good idea or not.
Yeah, I can see that. So did you actually like change the chop angles and stuff like that, or did you just cleaning up the work he had done?
The only thing I didn't change from the last guy was the windshield opening. So the windshield opening was just chopped 5 inches. The whole thing was chopped 5 inches from that guy. And it was actually pretty square, like to his, what's the right word? It was actually square. So it wasn't the end of the world as far as like, redoing everything, but it was just these cars themselves are very humpback. It's not like a Buick or a Cadillac of that era where they're a little more tucked in the back.
Right.
So the front windshields, like I said, we chopped it 5 inches, but I wanted to hard top it. So you cut the top of the door off, and then you have this gap on top, this, 2-inch gap on top of where the door was, where the roof should probably be now. So you hard top it, and then you have that gap missing. So I'm like, well, let's chop it some more, right? So the side is chopped 2 more inches. I brought the roof down on the side, the window openings on the side, and then the back, we tilted the trunk down from the taillights down about 3 inches, and then moved the belt line up about 11 inches. And then put a 38 Buick back window in it, which it's just like a 30s GM split window. All the GMs use the same split window, I think, the sheet metal anyways. But, so it's tucked up really far and nice, and it looks really good. It's just a matter of I just gotta get time on it to get the sheet metal work, done. It's right there. It's just a matter of working on my own stuff, Yeehaw.
Yeah. You don't make money on your own stuff.
No. Man, sometimes I just gotta like, get it out and turn it around so you can get a different view and like fall in love with it a little more again, that kind of stuff.
I like how the front end's real big, and then it looks like the car's kind of dragging away, and like, you know what I mean? Like the size of it all slopes away, and like a backwards wedge.
Yeah, it's definitely got the speedboat stance, the tail dragger speedboat.
Yep.
That's definitely I dig that a lot, but I dig all kinds of different flavors of stuff. Like, I mean, like, I'm definitely not a Mustang guy, but this Mustang we're building here is like, if I were to have a Mustang, this is probably what it would look like. Pretty close anyway,
Have you done anything on that this week?
Yeah, we finished up the backing plates for the brake cooling. Just getting the little ducting here I gotta fill in a couple little pieces here for the passenger side, to get the connection up behind the passenger headlight. But yeah, I got that pretty much wrapped up. The next thing, we got the clutch put in the Coyote Tremix setup there. My buddy Trapper from TC Fab right here. Check that out. Got a little t-shirt on.
Oh, got the merch.
He's a pretty smart guy. Yeah. He's a pretty smart guy. He likes Volkswagen, Audi stuff. Like he's really into that. So he makes me feel like I could buy an Audi and I'd have a resource that would like, here, just take it to him and take care of it, you know? I would never, usually not like a foreign guy, but he makes me have a little more faith in this stuff.
Yeah, I get a little nervous about the Euro cars. I had a Jetta that was terrible.
Yeah. And sometimes he's like, yeah, they're terrible, but I know how to fix it, you know?
I mean, we also had a Passat wagon that lasted forever, but I think with the European cars, you got to pick like there's certain really reliable engines and transmissions and stuff like that, and you just got to
Yeah,
make sure to pick from one of the many
he's like
options.
no doubt. Yeah. Trapper's he's like an encyclopedia of that stuff. I thought he was headed out the yesterday, and it was like an hour later we're still BS, and it's like, oh man, we got stuff to do. Got cars to build, so had to get back to work.
Is that the main thing you've had going on in the shop this week? Just forming some brake
Yeah,
cooling ducts and stuff?
yeah, I got that done. I was working on this Model A. We have the 4-inch chop. Just trying to get the roof basically squared up and clecoed together so it can start moving forward with like welding some of the parts together. I did get it that far to where its shape is really nice. Everything's fitting really well. So a couple of the corners I can't really fabricate yet until some of the outside pieces are welded together, so you know exactly where they're going to be in layout. Otherwise, you're just changing a part that you made a couple different times depending on how the roof lays out once it's all welded together. But so yeah, I started tacking some of those pieces together. It should be in this next month, just at least getting the roof at least tacked together and some of it welded together, a little more established. And then we got to move on to the rest of the body. It's got some enough work to do on the rest of the body too, sheet metal wise.
Is that the one that you were putting the Mustang roof skin on?
Yeah, yep. Mustang roof skin backwards, and it's fitting pretty well. That front flange, you just got to tip the edge on where the flange where it would attach to the back of the Mustang where you spot welded on. You just tip that down to meet that header panel, and I think I'm just gonna scribe it and like butt weld it to that front header panel, and I think it's gonna be blended in really nice. You're not even like. It's going to be seamless. Should be pretty awesome.
You got to take the win every once in a while.
Yeah. It's definitely something. I didn't realize the guy could use the whole front flange, and I set it on there backwards with the flange on. I'm like, oh man, that kind of looks good. And the customer was like, yeah, it's got to look. So I dig it.
Is that more of does that have like a radius to it where it crowns up in the top, or is it a pretty straight across frame?
No, the 2829s, that the cowl kind of has that, you know, the big swoop across it, and it's still it's not very straight across the top. It does have a nice radius that it's not exactly the same as the roof or as the cowl because it would be way too bubbly, but it does have a nice radius that it makes it look like it's supposed to be there, which is the stuff I really dig doing.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to have like one thing be kind of just a little weird, so you're always focusing on it every time you look at it.
Yeah, even if you're working on other cars, sometimes you're looking at your other projects, making like just glance over at whatever vantage point you have, just to make sure like even some of the styling stuff you're doing is like if you have it laid out. Sometimes I'll lay something out style wise, and then like punch out of that one, work on other cars, just to be able to look at it from different vantage points and make sure this is the direction we want to go. Specifically on this Mustang, just because when you're building stuff out of sheet metal, I mean, you only want to build it once. You don't want to build it and modify it, you know? So it's just making sure you're moving forward accurately, I guess.
Yeah, I found like with a lot of the stuff where I'm actually like restyling something, or even sometimes with paint when you're laying lines out to go with a car, sometimes the more time you have between starting it and actually like laying it out, you really can refine something just by staring at it and getting like that time, to reflect on it and think about something else and then kind of come back to it, and you just catch something like, oh, maybe that just needs to be moved a little bit more.
Definitely. There's times where it's 5:00 or a little after 5 or something, and I'm done working and I'm punched out, but I'm just sitting here staring at specifically this Mustang because there's so many different variables as far as like the systems in the front end, making sure there's room for everything. And then while we're doing all of this, it needs to look beautiful as well. So everything's got to flow and fit together, and the lines need to look right. And if you're sitting too close to the car, I don't think you're ever going to get the proper view, and you're never going to portray it right, because you're not standing back where everybody else that's going to be looking at the car sees it back first. So it's got to look great from 30, 40, 50 feet away, and it's got to look even better when you get closer.
Sometimes when you're working in like a garage, you got to like roll the car outside and stare at it, because you need that different perspectives.
For sure. Roll it out, look at it, turn it around, and bring it back in, and then stare at the back of it for a while,
Yeah. I was digging through some old car photos of stuff I worked on, and I know I mentioned before that I think I mentioned that I put a Rocket 350 in a Toyota Supra.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
I found some videos of that car, like running and whatever, and like pictures of it with that just a goofy big old cast iron V8 in it. But speaking of car buying horror stories, there was this one farmer's field we knew to go to that this guy had, 60 something cars out in the farmer's field. Everything from like little Datsun B210s to he had a 1950s Chrysler 300, which are like super rare now. But all this stuff's just laying out in this field, pretty much rotting away. Even though it's not getting salted, just years of being wet and in the shade. He had an REO Speedwagon, like one of the farm trucks and stuff like that. And that's where I learned that the band was actually named after a truck. But we went down there because there was this 72 Cutlass there, Cutlass Supreme, I think, and it had 7,000 miles on it. And we're like, oh, that's crazy. And we're looking at it, and the whole body and the frame and everything is just shot. But we're looking at it, and we're like, well, 7,000 miles on a Rocket 350, that's a new car pretty much. Even for an old small block, that's no miles. That's broken in. Mm-hmm. So we worked with the guy, and we're like, we want to buy the Cutlass, and he's like, okay, 300. I think we paid $350 or $500 or something like that because they had such low miles on it on the motor. So we're buying a motor. He had to put it on the trailer with his tractor, and while he was putting it on the trailer, the body came off of the frame, and so like just the front body mounts were holding it, and he was like squeaking it across the car trailer, and we got it back, and my brother was the one that bought it for the motor at the time, and so we were like in a rush. He was only visiting for a little while, and we wanted to get this motor out, so we get it unloaded, or we get it loaded at like noon. We drive it to our shop, which was like almost an hour drive. We tear the motor and the tranny out on the trailer with a cherry picker and like just a lot of maneuvering. And we get it on the ground and start hauling, or we get the motor out and we start hauling to the junkyard because we wanted to scrap this thing before they close at 5:00. Well, we call on the way. We're like, we're 5 minutes away. Can you just hang out for us? We're just going to drop this car off or whatever. So the junkyard's like, okay, whatever. We'll leave the gate open. We pull in with this 72 Cutlass for them. And the guy gave us a title with it, and we go up. They drag it off the trailer with the loader, and he goes up to it, and he's holding the title, and he looks at the dashboard, and he looks at the title, and then he pops the hood open, and he looks at the firewall, and then he's still kind of looking weird, and we're all standing there getting ready to leave, but we need him to give our paperwork so we can get our $50 for scrap or whatever for this rotten car. And he's looking, and then he's got the door open, and he's in the car, and he's looking around, and he comes up to us after like 5-10 minutes of deliberation. He goes, hey, the VIN number does not match the VIN on the dash. The one on the title doesn't match the one on the dash. And the dash doesn't match the firewall. And the firewall doesn't match the door. He's like, you got 4 or 5 different VIN numbers here on one car. And so we're going... So we're going, wait a minute, 7,000 miles, and it was stuffed in the back of a farm field. This must have been a stolen car or something at some point.
Oh my gosh.
We had a title, and it's like, there was no car there left. There was no value there, and the guy just kind of looked at us, and maybe this is past the statute of limitations. This is all allegedly. This is a fictitious story, but the guy goes, you know what? It's already 20 after 5. This thing is not worth anything to anybody, and clearly it's been sitting for a long time. So if somebody was looking for it, that ship has sailed. He goes, I'm crushing it first thing in the morning. Just get out of here.
And it's even shadier. It happened after hours.
Yeah. Never checked the VIN on the engine to see if it matched any of them, but
Yeah, but
still pretty
sometimes they
funny.
don't. It really depends on the car,
Yeah, so I don't know if it actually ever had 7,000 miles on that portion of it. For all I know, the guy turned the dashboard back, or it was out of a different car, or who knows.
I would assume the cluster is probably out of a car that was, hey, let's make this car worth as much as we can. Here it is,
Yeah, it was like a hideous gold with a green interior, the green vinyl interior, Landau roof.
That sounds beautiful.
Oh yeah, they don't make them like that anymore. But yeah, it's pretty exciting for a little bit there when you're trying to figure out if the junkyard guy's going to call the cops on you.
Right? Yeah.
But we decided not to go back to that farm to buy any more cars.
Right? Oh, man. So what are you working on? Did you work on your control arms this last week? Get them all finished up, jazzed up?
I was cutting yesterday. I was plasma cutting out some shock tabs for it and making all the layouts for that, because you got to part of the long travel and all the math on it for the geometry. You got to set the distance between your pivot point and your shock mount point, and then obviously there's from your pivot point to where the spindle bolts to the end of control arm, or where the ball joint is, and all that changes the leverage that the shock has on it. They call it a motion ratio. So I was just making sure I'm laying that out right, because I calculated my spring rates all based on a certain motion ratio. So I jigged out the lower control arms when I made them, and now I'm basically making sure I have the shock points at the jigged out place. So, and just like where we were talking about with your roof and stuff like that, I had a shock tab in mind, and then I realized in the time between conceiving the idea and making them, I found a stronger way to weld them on there. Where there's just going to be more surface area weld instead of just the tab laying on top of it. Like every other control arm has it done that way. But like I said, if I'm jumping a 4,600 pound truck, if I can maximize, strength of everything that's taking that impact, the better. So I did that, cutting out the overlay panels. I'm moving slow on it, but I'm slowly ticking along on the long travel.
Hey, moving forward is moving forward. Small bites are bites.
Right.
Do you have to install that lower control arm to do that? Like have everything like installed and in the proper spot?
I've not. So I've basically have them. They're I have a lower control arm. It's a completely welded. I have not put it on the vehicle one time. It's all just math and measurements. The truck right now has a rough country lift on it, and that has a drop cross member because it's like a differential drop setup. And so I would have to actually remove all of that to mock them up. And so I'm just going to run on good measurements and blind faith in that I got it right. And I mean, measuring's measuring. I trust it. So and then I jigged them out, so they should go right in. And then it should be pretty straightforward. I'm gonna have to cut the upper shock mounts, and then weld in new extended ones when I'm putting the control arms in. But hopefully that can all just be in like a 3 or 4 day install.
Nice. I dig it.
I'm trying to decide if the upper control arms I'm gonna do tubing or if I'm gonna build them out of plate, like plate work style. I haven't 100% decided.
Yeah, I guess it's really not an advantage or disadvantage as far as, I don't know.
There's less cutting and welding with tube.
Yeah, you can bend it. That's. I just I don't have a tube, but it's gonna bend a thick enough tube.
Yeah.
I was looking up one the other day, but I'm like, I have to take care of the stuff I have right now. I can't be buying any more tools right now.
There is something fun about getting new equipment, though.
It's like, yeah, it's addicting. You want to get the new tools to do all the cool things, and sometimes you just don't have enough room. I mean, we have 6,000 square feet, and I feel like I'm running out of room for tools, but there's people that do a lot more with a lot less, so I don't know. Fussy guy.
Yeah, you get used to having space to walk around between things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Last winter, we were jam packed in here because we brought in some projects for the winter. So it was, oh my God, it was jam packed in here. You could barely walk in here for a couple months. It's nice that it's actually cleared up,
Some say a pack shop is a productive shop.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know about
Yeah, I
that.
don't know. It's all in the eyes of the beholder,
What do you got going next week?
We got up the front floors of that Brookville. I don't know if they normally sell them and install wood up front under, in front of the seat. But we're going to I just got to get some more sheet metal here on Tuesday and, build the front floor for that and the transmission tunnel. It's almost no hump. They sell there's a company that sells like direct sheet metal or something like that sells a front floor, but looked like way too big of a transmission hump, and it was just like seemed like it's gonna be way easier just to make it. So we're gonna get that made and finish up the welding on that Brookville ASAP, and then jump back. That'll be getting sanded down and hopefully and get into epoxy then, and then get working on this Mustang as well. I gotta work on this 69 Mustang as well. That got to work that thing in sometimes this next month, but I don't know if it's not going to be this next week at all. Definitely going to jump in on that Brookville and get that. We got to get the floor banged out and get the welding done on that. So that's my goal.
I could see that. We bought. So when I moved from Wisconsin to Florida, I had this '93 Toyota pickup that I was using as a daily driver. I bought it for a couple $100, and it was like I bought it for a beater, and then I fell in love with it. One of those cars, $200 truck, changed my whole view on vehicles because those it's got a 22 RE in it. It's a 5-speed manual. It's got manual locking hubs. It's 4-wheel drive, and it's just like it's low powered and overbuilt truck. So it just never ever had a problem, and but it was super rusty. So when I moved, I sold it to a friend, and then a couple years after I moved, he moved down here, and he was just making a trip up there, and he knew I was planning to build some sort of buggy or smaller pre-runner or something like that other than my truck for my kid. And
I don't know. I know putting this Coyote in this Mustang is not going to be very fun because all the headers are built and everything, but they were built so tight that when we unbolted them, they just stayed there. There's like not a lot of movement, so we have to like dent them and ding them and get all the clearances and stuff. But the starter and the header have to go on at the same time as the motor's like almost in but not all the way in. So it's like it's gonna be a whole thing trying to get this thing put back together, and then I have to get the headers trued to the flange trued up, so everything's gonna seal up nice and tight. So that's gonna be getting that back in there is gonna be nice. But it's going to be a lot for sure.
yeah, they never thought there'd be a quad cam V8 in that car.
Yeah, it's pretty tight. Everything is very, very tight. That's why the inner fender wells are unboltable, or you can removable, so you can access stuff. But man, it's still like there's still a lot of parts you need to install in the car. So we need to get the motor and transmission back in it, and then do all the fuel pedal it's like a modular fuel pedal. It's all electronic, but there's not enough room physically for it to be mounted like where your foot is, like right above your foot, because it's got electric assist steering. So that motor takes up that room, and the motor had been, the engine transmission had been moved back from factory about 3 inches or so, somewhere in there. Cause it's really the only spot that it fit. so that limits you on your space. So now I have to cantilever that fuel pedal up on the dash. I have to have that mounted up underneath the dash, and then have another like carbureted style, I guess you would say, fuel pedal, and like push on it and have a little link in between. It's gonna be a whole thing. Yeah, that's just to get the throttle to work, you know. And there's just no room for stuff.
How many times do you think you're going to have this engine in and out before you're, you know, done with the thing?
I mean, right now, we got the clutch and everything put in. The billet oil pump is installed, the right injectors. So I mean, hopefully, aside from fluids and stuff, I want this to be at least a fireable, maybe not fully operational car, but like make sure that systems are checked and possibly done before we tear it apart for body and paint. So this motor going in, I would love for it to be going in and being installing some more parts and doing some wiring, and it being a fireable thing. But it's one step at a time.
What are you doing for wiring?
This custom stuff. It's got what's the American Auto Wire harness? I think that's what it is. I'm bad with remembering names of all this stuff, so I think it's American Auto Wire that we have talked for that.
So that's something that'll be, able to go in pretty easy and then come out before paint and all that stuff and then go back in.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have the harness made, it doesn't need to be like looped together, but at least, the corner's made for the harness, so you're literally pulling out a harness and you're reinstalling it, and it's done, kind of a thing. It's just the car is at that level where you gotta install some stuff. I mean, it's been taken apart so far. It was literally an outside shell that was floating on a frame, that was never, made by Ford. So just like installing some of the Mustang Ford parts, like window trim and all this stuff, like needing to make sure all that stuff still fits. Because it was originally a coupe car and had been converted to a fastback, not by me. It was by the last shop. So there's like window opening stuff. We need to make sure that the side glass, the side window trim, over the door, all that stuff fits good. So all that stuff can change if you don't have or just needs to be tweaked. The holes there, the trim need to be moved a little bit or something. There's always something small that needs to happen when you're doing roof conversion stuff.
Yeah, I wanted to get into that. I had a 67 coupe for a bit, but finding a good roof is not an easy thing to do anymore.
Yeah, it's spendy. You probably spend $2, $3, $4, $5 on a good roof, depending on how nice it is, and then installing it's a whole other thing too. But they're really not that bad. Like the roof conversions, I remember doing a few of them at that one shop we worked at, and they're actually kind of fun because they really don't go too slow. I mean, usually you're cooking pretty fast on them. It'd be nice if you just replaced the outside rocker panels with, or the outside quarter panels with like fastback quarter panels, but if I could understand stitching it together, stitching the two together down making a big seam down the center. Cost is a factor, but it was always pretty straightforward as far as like making a coupe fastback.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Ford, when they made it, they tried to have as much continuity car to car, so as far as on the assembly line, it would go, smoother.
Yeah, I don't think they're like that anymore. No, everything's got its own specific part, But yeah, I don't know. Definitely a lot of trim. Like even the side windows, it's got like the Hertz rent-a-cars had the glass quarter windows, or not. They weren't glass; they were plexiglass, but instead of the louvers. So we liked that idea, but our openings were rotted out. So if we're gonna they don't sell the kit anymore. The kit was really cheesy and cheap for the Hertz rent-a-car windows. So we're gonna make them out of flat glass and recess them in a little bit. And then when we were putting the windows in, it was like, well, if we're gonna make a window, it might as well make it fit the car a little better. So we just made the opening follow the quarter panel down a little bit, and then moved the front of the window to match the back glass trim. So it'll basically look like a straight line all the way up and around the car. It's a really cool effect, but now we need to make trim for the side window. So it's basically a piece of aluminum that's going to be probably it's 3/4 inch trim that goes around pretty much all the windows. So need to make one that's cut out this side window, and then it's gonna be flat to the glass on the bottom side, and then it'll be sanded down to the shape of the body on the outside. So that's something I got to get done yet. But it's just all the how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time, right?
So is that like an aluminum extrusion you buy and then you just form it into what you need, or is there like some sort of actual trim
No,
type?
I'm probably gonna have to have like it like I don't know. It's gonna have to be out of like a billet, pretty much. I would suspect like laser cut or a water jetted out of something like flat plate. I would suspect that's probably going to be the easiest route. Just give them like a template. You cut it. They have a shop in town cut it out, and then I'm just gonna mount the glass and then sand, like basically shave the outside down to the body to get that the same effect as the rest of the trim.
That's pretty sweet. It's all the
That's
little
my
touches
plan.
that.
That's my plan. Yeah.
So I put a post out on our on the podcast Facebook page saying, "What are you working on?"
Oh
And
yeah.
we got some interesting ones that people put in. Somebody's doing a 76
Oh
280Z
really?
and a 93 Toyota Land Cruiser. They say they're both restorations, but they
Huh.
run and drive, but they could definitely both use a hug. But I think we've all had cars like that.
I need a hug too.
Right? I actually, I think I responded, couldn't we all use a hug? And then
Right.
we had somebody put a laundry list of vehicles. A 1970 Ford Highboy that's getting an engine, axles, cab, and frame. A 77 C10 needs rockers. A 51
Okay.
Plymouth Cranbrook
That's it.
that needs a carb rebuild and a new driveline made. A 67 Chrysler Newport
Oh gee.
needs new rear axle bearings, but it drives wonderful except for that. A 1953 Ford Golden Jubilee. Do you even know what that is? What if it's a
What is
tractor?
that?
What if it's a tractor? Ford tractor? 53? That's about right.
Let me
We're going to just go on.
That sounds like
We're going to go on that it's a tractor for right now.
I don't
So he
know.
says that he said that it needs rear axle seals so
Yeah, it's a
bad
tractor.
it makes the Exxon Valdez look like a minor leak. And then
All the
also
ponds have rainbows on
and then also a 62 International Harvester Travelette. Don't get me started on this.
them. Ooh. That one he's mad about.
Yeah, that one he's mad about. But he said at least they've got a Toyota 4Runner, so they have something reliable. It sounds like this guy knows how to dig a
Nice.
hole if you know it. Must have some land or something.
He's got some quirky stuff. Right? Yeah, I need to consolidate a few of those projects, I think.
We got another guy looking to do a manual Nissan Juke build. That'd be a little different.
Hmm. Yeah?
And then we had
That's crazy.
you'd have to go on the Facebook and look, but we had the guy that remember I was talking about how I got my old Datsun out of a 1800s cheese factory.
Yeah.
The guy that I got it from actually posted the 59 Austin Healey Bug Eye Sprite that I painted. And he said that since I painted
Really?
it, it's been backed into twice. And sure,
Oh no.
it's I don't know how somebody hits a Viper Red Austin Healey Bug Eye Sprite. It's like a beacon of light in the parking lot. But I'm guessing because the old British car is only about 24 inches tall. You know what I mean? They're about this big. They look like
Yeah, it's
something.
very short.
They look like something Stuart Little would drive. But so I imagine in like all these big American cars, you can't even see it behind you,
Yeah. No doubt. You probably have two of them stacked on top of one another, and you still never see it over an Escalade hood.
right? Yeah. Two of them stacked together is still only 50 horsepower, I'm pretty sure.
Downhill with the wind, yeah, no doubt.
So we'll keep putting posts up like that. You guys share stuff. We'd love to talk about whatever you're working on. We're getting stuff out there
Oh
on
yeah.
Facebook, Instagram, wherever you want to look. I don't think we've quite committed ourselves to the TikTok yet, but we're in other places.
Yeah, we'll see. One day at a time, right?
Yeah, you can only spread yourself so thin.
Oh man, I seen a C8 the other day, yesterday on Marketplace that I really want to buy, but it's like got a matte gray wrap on it. Oh, it looks so good. I really would like those cars. I don't know why. Did you see the concept car that Corvette came out with?
Yeah, the what they call it, the Vision or something like that.
Well, I think it's called the Concept CX or something.
Oh yeah,
But
the X. Yeah, I'm
the
thinking of something else.
the gas part, the gas portion of, because I think it's a hybrid. Like I don't know if the street car is a hybrid or is just electric, and then the race car was the hybrid. But
I think
whatever
so.
gas portion they were using was a 2-liter V8 dual overhead cam twin turbo making 800 horse. 2-liter.
I
I
have
was
to
like,
say, I
what?
I love
GM?
small displacement V8s.
I know. I want to hear that thing.
It's got to sound like an F1 car.
Yeah, that sounds super. Yeah, it's got to. It's got to sound just nuts. Imagine that with like zero, like just zero exhaust, just like wide open. It's got to sound bananas.
I
Anyways,
think
I was just super excited about that because it's the styling. Why it is bananas. Like,
the future is
yeah,
now.
those guys at Corvette. Yeah, I mean, a dream job would be working at some place like Corvette where you can just let's make the coolest thing we possibly can. Like, and here's all the resources in front of you you ever would need. That would be bananas. But then you're just stuck with like Corvettes too, right? I don't know. I don't know if that's the answer. What do you think?
I think they have fun. Did you? I think they beat the with the ZR1, didn't they beat the Nürburgring production car time? And they didn't even have a race car driver driving the car in the record lap.
Yeah, they had an engineer driving, and I think they beat the GTD, which
Oh
was it
yeah.
was the American car that they beat. But
Okay.
there's some like discrepancy. I've seen it both ways where the supposedly the ZR1 was on a wet lap. It was like a wet lap, so they said it was like even 10. It should have been 10 seconds faster, but it just barely beat this GTD. But I think it's really weird. Like this Mustang, it's not, they call it a Mustang, this GTD, but it's not, it's a purpose-built Mustang. It's a purpose-built race car. It's not really there's nothing really Mustang about it except for how it looks. I mean, it's $315,000 or something. And
That,
I think it was, you can buy a Z06 Corvette and a ZR1 Corvette for the price you can buy a GTD. Like, I don't know if the value is there. If a ZR1's kicking this thing's ass and you can buy another car on top of it, like, that's bananas.
well,
There's
if
a
you're
lot
a
of
diehard
bananas in
Ford
this
guy,
talk today.
BANANAS.
I guess so. Yeah, right? Yeah. Gwen had it right, man.
Gwen had it right. Uh, yeah. What is it about the
Mm.
C8s that gets you so much?
I don't know. I've loved Ferraris. Like, I've always loved Ferraris since I was a kid. Every new one that came out, not every model, but like the rear engine Ferraris, I don't know why they do it for me. The shape, just like you seeing it go down the road, it doesn't look like traffic. It looks like a race car going down the road. Like anything mid-engine is really, really cool to me. Um, it's just a matter of what's obtainable and what's a good driving obtainable mid-engine car. The reason that car specifically speaks to me is you say you're buying a used one for, let's say you can buy a used one for like 60 grand. I don't think I could build a car that could do what that car does for 60 grand. And this is just something that's a base model that you can buy it and you're driving it. It's done. So it can only improve from there as far as a driving experience from my eyes. As long as you're okay with it being a paddle shift and not a fully manual transmission, which I hear they might come back with in the next generation or something like that, but I'm not really sure. Anyways, it's not really a make or break for me as far as it being a manual transmission or not. The paddle shift is really, really cool. I don't think, depending on who you are or who you talk to, I don't think you're gonna be able to shift as fast as a paddle shift transmission is, a double clutch paddle shift transmission. But
No way.
to me, it's like a stock C8. It's like almost 500 horse, and the motor's behind you. You're kicking ass. You're kicking a lot of cars' ass just with a stock C8, and it just gets better from there. I don't know. I really, really dig it. And then specifically the C8s that still have the pushrod motor in it. It's like some of them, like they still sound like the old Corvette and in like an American car, but it has, when it drives on the road, it looks like a Ferrari. Now, granted, the Z06s and the ZR1s, they sound exotic, but it's almost like getting too far away from, like, it. To me, the pushrod C8 is like the middle ground as far as like sounding like an old Corvette and looking like something way, way farther forward than what it sounds like. So I think it's just a cool balance of all the worlds that I kind of dig. It's going to sound really, really rowdy and look really, really nuts. I don't know. I want to slam it, have loud exhaust, all the cool stuff, cool kid stuff.
The pushrod motor keeps the American supercar American, I think,
Yeah. I mean, as much as I love these flat plane crank motor, dual overhead cam motors, they sound really, really cool. They rev like crazy, but it's just to me, I like the mix of the old and the new. To me, that's like my version of the old and the new as far as that car goes. It's just one car. Not like there's usually a lot of hate with the Corvette owners as far as like if either you love the C8s or you hate them.
I don't hate them, but I am going to bang the gavel and say that I have decided that they call it a Corvette, but it's still just a 2025 Pontiac Fiero.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of wanted to like take the badging off and put Fiero on it just to see if people would be like, what is that? I'm like, oh, it's just the new Fiero, man.
It is just a new Fiero. Space frame, rear engine, come on, or mid-engine.
They start on fire.
Hey, now, that was just... Actually, that's kind of funny.
No, they actually they had stop sale on Z06 and ZR1s because they start on fire. There's an intake that's right below the fuel neck, and it stays on if it's hot and you turn the vehicle off. So people are a little bit of dripper or gas vapor, and it'll start up. It'll light up.
I have a Fiero starting on fire firsthand story.
Oh.
So I worked at a body shop and like a small town body shop, and I walk around with this Fiero emblem tattooed on the back of my leg, so everybody kind of has an idea that I may have been a Fiero guy at some point. And kind of, backwoods Wisconsin stuff. Somebody came in to get some work done on their Fiero that I think they got rear-ended in it, and they didn't really know where to go, and they came to the shop, and they were talking to the owner, and he goes, I have the definitive Fiero guy working here. So he was like, we can take care of this. I'm sure he can handle whatever your car needs. So they brought this Fiero in. The guy had to come and talk to me, talk Fieros for a while, just feel out if I had a clue or if I just was some, one of the many people with Fiero tattoos out in the world. And he brought the car. He brought the car in, and I had to do a bunch of stuff just to freshen it up because it was an 86, I believe, or an 85 GT or something like that. But
Sure.
I did a headliner in it and, took care of some wiring on the inside and just did little stuff. And then obviously the paint and body work, but I had it on the frame rack and I was pulling the frame out on it And when I was pulling the frame on the frame rack, there was apparently some wires pinched, and when I was pulling it loose, one of the positive wires grounded, and it was not fused. It was like something the owner had put in, and it lit the wiring harness on fire. And I'm the only person in the shop. Everybody else, it was kind of like, I could tell stories about that place, but it was kind of like a little gang. And so they all would like go to lunch together. And I'd be working and whatever. And I was on the frame rack. This thing lights on fire. I'm the only person in the shop. I go get a fire extinguisher, or I think I got a fire extinguisher, and I put the fire out because there's a wiring. Sometimes water isn't the best for electrical fires. So, I put the fire out, disconnected the battery, and they get back from lunch, and they're like, what's that smell? And I was like, oh, friggin' Fiero lit on fire on the frame rack. Surprise, surprise. And the owner actually chastised me for putting the fire out. He goes, if there's a fire in this shop, you let it burn down. It's worth more in insurance money than it is together.
That's funny. I mean, not funny, but Jesus, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I will advise you, though, if you fix a man's Fiero and he finds out where you live, because I used to live on a pretty busy corner, so everybody like always saw my stuff sitting outside. But if you fix a guy's Camaro and you live on a busy corner, he will just surprise show up at your house all the time just to talk. So keep an eye out for that.
Okay, we'll keep the Fiero people at bay.
Yeah, nothing like having, your wife and her, your mother-in-law in the garage, and you got some old guy pulling up in a Model T and making comments about how women need to be in the kitchen and the garage is for men and stuff. It's really super comfortable situation for everybody.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So why don't you tell everybody where to find you online if they want to see what you're doing at Hungry Hollow?
Oh yeah, I have Instagram, Hungry Hollow Customs. We do have a Facebook page, but my personal Facebook page is linked with my Instagram. So Quintin Strack on Facebook if you want to follow me there. I also have a YouTube channel, Hungry Hollow Customs. We have a few videos up, a couple shorts, and some videos we did on the Mustang here. Other than that, right here on fucking cars.
All right, and then you can catch me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, definitely, Terror Shark TV, easy to find. There's a lot of stuff on there. I've been doing a lot of live streams, so if you're just bored on a weekend, you want to see some guy working on something, a lot of times while I'm filming a video, I'll also have a live stream going so I can kind of chat with the people that tune in and talk about what's going on. And
you're the YouTube pro.
I am going to attempt to be a YouTube pro. So I think I have more subscribers than there are. I think I have more subscribers than there are people in the town I live in. So that's a start.
Well, yeah, hell yeah.
What I'm getting at is we're going to keep fucking with cars, so you should too.
Yeah, keep fucking with cars, people.
All right, and if you're working on anything, drop it on Facebook or Instagram. We'll try to bring it up on the podcast. If you want to catch us in video,
yeah.
We're over on Patreon, $5 a month, and you can watch all of our videos, hours of content over there, instead of just listening to us. You can see our beautiful faces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, bye-bye.
Record in a different corner each time, so we got different backdrops. Bye!
Available in audio form everywhere you listen to podcasts. If you want to see it in video, you can go to our Patreon, which is patreon.com/F_CKINGCARS. And just for $5 a month, you can get all of our podcasts in video format, extra bloopers at the end, so you can get a little bit more feel. You can see some of the things we're working on, even some of our more inappropriate moments, and help support the channel. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification so you get notified every week when we post a new episode.